They like the chaos.
They like the chaos. So when you're able to
The chaos.
let that chaos reign with
The chaos.
let that chaos reign with
The chaos.
let that chaos reign with
Must reign.
Yes. Welcome, guys. Welcome again. Welcome to another edition, another stream, another podcast, whatever you want to call this, here on the Chaos Ring Show. I am Chaos Ring. Today, you see the thumbnail. We're going to go a little controversial with this one, in good faith. But for those that's not familiar with the lady that I'll be playing today, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to this channel for anything else. The discussion will be on the one and only Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. Now, before I run the videotape and give discussion about this conversation he had with this gentleman back almost 53 years ago, and ironically, 53 years is a sweet number because that was the last time, if anybody's a basketball fan, the New York Knicks won a championship. Come here, they won back-to-back championships from 1972 to 1973. And in the 70s is, if you notice, a lot of activity has gone around. As you know, the rights to delete your baby, I think it's called Roe v. Wade, was enacted in the end of 72 and then took effect the next year. And while all things, I guess, politically that was going on in America over the last half a century, one thing that's not been really heavily talked about, but was having conversations of that time, was this thing about interracial coupling between blacks and whites. And one of the few things what you witness when watching this is that there was a conversation back then, way back then, about black men and white women in regards to them having relationships sexually. For those that don't know. So now, with these conversations, like many other conversations, right? Why is it I find even our scholars, like Cress Welsing, either had a disdain, hate, or let's be honest, she's putting her own pathology about this thing between black men and non-black women. And to me, to know this exists, and it's very hard to find this in the internet, I had to scurry and dig out the social media and throughout the algorithms, whatever you want to call it, to find this original tape. The one that media man had, which I think he should have kept up for the whole week, because that right there alone should really debunk a lot of the talk points about black men and non-black women. But nonetheless, you know, he is a content and he does what is beneficial from pocket-wise. So, but I do respect he, you know, had a conversation about this particular videotape that was been in the archives and been pushed under the rug for near half a century. But no worries, people. The Chaos Reign, we're going to look at it together and we're going to have the conversation about this thing about black men and non-black women. So no further ado, let's run the videotape. Please make sure to like the stream. Make sure you turn your volumes very high. And also, please participate in the chat room if you can. And if you don't want to, that's fine. But leave your opinions in the comment section below. And have the video. Let's begin. Enjoy.
This is the part one of a two-part series entitled...
One thing, I could not recall if I ever covered this. If I haven't, this probably be the first time. And in good faith, I had to put a lot of thought into this before even touching this, because the way how Dr. Cress Welsing went at with this, it was very questionable. And I had to really question, because this woman did eventually transition for almost 10 years now, because she's now been dead now since January 2nd of 2016. This is now 10 years. She was not, they said, from my understanding, she was never married. I know she had relationships, because like any person, you don't just live in the world alone. I don't believe that, especially if you're a woman back then, because back then, you know, everybody creates conversation network with other people. So I really don't doubt Francis Cress Welsing then had partners at that time while, you know, not being actually married. I'm an assumption that she probably did, you know, entertain non-black men personally. I ain't knocking it, because most black women, if you think about it, were messing with non-black men even back the days when Francis was around. So, but nonetheless, let's run the tape. Enjoy. We're gonna leave some commentary. Let's go.
Black man, white woman.
All right.
Significantly, it was not entitled Black woman, white man, because in the last 10 years, the statistics indicate that there is a significant increase in relationships between black men and white women, and a significant decrease in relationships between black women and white men. With me to discuss this very volatile issue are two leading psychiatrists, Dr. Frances Welsing, a member of the psychiatric department of the Medical College at Howard University, and Dr. Alvin Poussant, a psychiatrist, a member of the Medical College at Harvard University, and
says his name right. Dr. Poussant is also in the same field as Dr. Cress Welsing in the medical field, which really brings a lot of questions and a lot of things between their discussion. But let's listen carefully. Let's go.
Author of the well-known book, Why Blacks Kill Blacks. To begin with you, Sister Welsing, why do you believe, basically, black men are becoming so significantly attracted to white women, or is it vice versa?
I'd like to turn it around. I think, first of all, that white women are seeking black men first. Black men are, some are attracted to white women, and I don't think that we can understand this phenomena unless we understand really what is the larger dynamic that is occurring not only in this society but in the world at large. And the way that I look at that phenomena is that number one, we are living within the context of a system of white supremacy, which is my definition of racism. Racism is a worldwide system of white supremacy, domination, and control. And all of the behavior that we see all over the world, whether it's the behavior of the black woman, the white woman, the black man, or the white man, is occurring within the dynamics of this system. And we can understand what is happening as far as the white woman, black man relationship and why that is on the increase, I think, if we understand the need for the system to remain intact.
But Francis,
Okay.
you don't think that the black man has a special attraction toward the white woman?
Oh,
in
yes, he
America?
does. Yes, he does. He
Why
has,
is
that?
well, he has been programmed historically to feel that, first of all, this is the woman who is the woman in the world, and this is a thing that has been denied him, you know, in terms of, let's say, male-female relations or sexual partners. The black man, at least in this area of the world, has been told historically, you cannot look at, you cannot touch this woman. And so at that level of social dynamic programming, yes, the black man has always felt, well, this is the one thing that I have been denied in this society. And so many black men, I think, for, you know, at one level, they are moving towards white women as white women move. White women are the major aggressors in this situation. But the black man is playing his role because he says, well, this is a thing that I've been denied. This is the thing that is going to be the great equalizer.
I think, though, that
All right. So for a quick pause. In regards that she thinks that black men are programmed to date non-black women, right? I would disagree. And the reason why, because we look at throughout history, and we go beyond more. So we look at just general world history. Black people always has some interaction, entanglement with these other groups of women, you know. And the sad and the weirdest thing about it is, during the enslavement process of 1500s up to present day, unfortunately, not until 1850, that even before the miscegenation laws were removed of 1967, which is now going to be 59 years in November, black men, as like any other man, will seek and want a mate that has a pair of tits in a box to hopefully to procreate and maybe perpetuate what they call the species. He's not always tailored to just one set of racial group. Nor, if you look at for all racial dynamics, all groups of people, whether it's men and women, on the average, will seek, marry, and procreate within their group. But there are always exceptions to where someone will go outside a group and procreate with other groups of people. And a lot of people think that this is unnatural, but it is a natural process, like when the species, especially around proximity. So no, I do not think nor believe her notion about saying the black man's program. The black man is going to find mates what is acceptable within his parameter, in his environment, and what he feels could perpetuate what he's doing and carry on his loins, which is his seed. And that's something that's not really being discussed. And if that is what I'm laying out, what is really, when we talk about black women, you, on the opposite hand, from what we know throughout the history, even today, and trying to fight now, you have been pushing and fight hard to push away from black men. And not only use your womb and your box, but to propagate the species by procreating with other groups of men that unfortunately doesn't see no value unless you are a side piece. And that's just the honest truth. And we see it too much countless times. Hell, I remember Only Logic puts out videos now that you can watch on his own platform of women, black women especially, going out there trying to date and hopefully get married outside black men for the sake of, bettering themselves and have more closest to whiteness. Even to the point that she will want her children to be what is considered white for her own pleasure and her own self-esteem. And trust me, no one else is telling you this but me. So let's go.
That the need has sort of...
The increase, I think, if we understand the need for the system to remain intact.
But Francis,
Okay.
you don't think that the black man has a special attraction toward the white woman?
Oh,
in
yes, he
America?
does. Yes, he does.
Why is
that?
Well, he has been programmed historically to feel that, first of all, this is the woman who is the woman in the world, and this is the thing that has been denied him, in terms of, let's say, male-female relations or sexual partners. The black man, at least in this area of the world, has been told historically, you cannot touch this woman. And so at that level of social dynamic programming, yes, the black man has always felt, well, this is the one thing that I have been denied in this society. And so many black men, I think, at one level, they are moving towards white women as white women move. White women are the major aggressors in this situation. But the black man is playing his role because he says, well, this is the thing that I've been denied. This is the thing that is going to be the great equalizer.
I think, though, that the need has sort of been exaggerated, because if we look at those statistics you just mentioned, actually in the past decade, even with the increase, there's only about 43,000 black man, white woman marriages. That's a very, very tiny percentage. That means about 2% of black men are married to white women. Mm-hmm. Now, if we had accepted the propaganda, that is the white propaganda, that all black men desire a white woman and they want to marry your daughter, you would expect the incidence of the marriages to really be increasing at a much greater rate.
I was going to ask, does it mean that that the fact that if we accept the fact that black men do feel that white women are preferable to black women, are we saying that their behavior in the context of standard behavior is normal or abnormal?
Well, I don't like to use those terms. I would prefer to understand the phenomena. For example, if we start labeling behavior, like, for example, homosexuals don't like to be called pathological, for one thing. And I think that it is more useful if we say, well, let us try to understand the phenomena of homosexuality, as opposed to saying, well, now that's sick, and then people get turned off and they don't spend time trying to understand the dynamic. In the same way, I don't want to look at the phenomena of, you know, cross-color sexual mating or marriage or whatever. And in terms of pathology, I would rather say, well, let's try to understand what actually is going on.
But you
and
call the
why
white woman the aggressor.
I say that she is aggressive because we live in the context of a white supremacy society in which white people are the dominant group. They are the people who control the power. We are the oppressed people. We are the people who are victims of that system. Just like, I mean, in terms of history, it was just a short 2 months ago in terms of the whole historical span that black men were being lynched for looking at a picture of a white woman. Do you see? And now we are told, well, now everything is opened up. Well, I want to understand, well, why is it that everything is opened up? I think everything is opened up since black men started talking about black power. You see, when black men start talking about black power, then that says, well, all right, maybe there will be a challenge to the system of white supremacy domination, not only in this area of the world, but all over the world. So the white supremacy system says, all right, well, now what do we do to, you know, get these people back in control? And what do we do to get them back in check? That is the black man. Well, we'll lay our ace trump card on them, which is a white woman.
In other words,
you see, which brings the
I
black
think
man then back within the context that the white supremacy system is going to work for you. See, we've denied you this, now you have it. But on close examination, in spite of all of the black-white marriages, the black-white sex that has occurred throughout history, in the last 500 years, there has been no serious tampering with the maintenance of white supremacy, certainly not through the bedroom activity. Do you see what I'm saying? But in other words, it throws people off balance.
So
in
the
other words,
white woman is still, I think, in a position of psychological dominance. And
Right.
that, insofar as
Right.
she is, that's a form of white supremacy, and that the black men are frequently responding to her dominant position, the fact that she is considered a superior status object in the society. But getting back to this point,
Well, let me
about,
ask a question before
Yeah,
you
go
move to
ahead.
that. Then if we accept that, are we saying that the black men who marry white women are asking for dominance from a female?
no, the black men who are married by white women.
But
No,
the trend you continually...
No, I think that they're looking for status.
the black men are looking
The
for
black
status.
men are looking for status whether they are aware of it or not. In other words,
To do a pause, white women give you something. They will look good on your arm. But regardless to overall status amongst other groups of men, not really. And the reason why, even to some of the ones that are, what do they call it? Those country bunker ones that are regular average Joe Caucasoids, are not really thrilled to see black men with said white women, personally. And me saying this is they're not even comfortable seeing their women do what they do. Because by default, a lot of Caucasian men want a plethora of women and men, because, you know, we gotta be truthful here, because they dabble, to have access sexually, or to have, as what they call concubines, right? So that way they could still have their fun, I mean literally fun, while procreating within their own group. And may procreate outside the group, you know, give or take. Because in their mind, all women is theirs, and their women is theirs, and want no other men to be in front of their woman, much less other women. It's a very much possessive thing. It's like a very abusive relationship, if you think about it. You know, and matter of fact, there was some videos, and I'm probably going to share this about right after this, of a few white women saying about and talking about their own men in regards to this possession. So let's stay tuned. Let's keep going. Let's listen.
as long as you have white supremacy domination any place in the world, whether it's Brazil, whether it's Hawaii, whether it's Japan, any place, you name it, that as long as the people of color are the people who are oppressed, then when a marriage occurs, in other words, the dominator says, I will pick you amongst the victims who I dominate to marry you, then the victim says, oh goody, this means I'm in.
Well, that's true, but if I can ask this question.
Okay.
It seems, the way you are framing your analysis, that the almost total blame if we can use that word, for interracial marriages is because of, one, white society vis-a-vis white supremacy,
Seeking to maintain itself.
and two, white women being the aggressors. You seem to be saying, and I'm asking a question, that black men are just blameless and they're sort of like the victims of something that they have no control over, or that they have no need to be married to a white woman for some perhaps pathological basis.
No, let's say, for example, if you set up the conditions for the development of a sadomasochistic relationship, then the masochist as well as the sadist is a part of that relationship, and they are playing roles that they have been conditioned to play. In other words, a person who is a masochist seeks out the sadist because then they could play their sort of dual game,
Mutual reciprocity.
their mutual reciprocity together. Now, within the dynamic of the system of white supremacy, you have, for example, many of the white women who are with black and other non-white men are actually, I believe, having a dialogue with white men.
How does that work?
See, the dialogue goes like this according to my analysis. First of all, the white women, we have the women's liberation movement, which is a dynamic of white females, okay? They are asking for liberation out from under the white male. All right, now within the dynamic of the white supremacy culture, you also have penis envy. In other words, the white men have been perceived as being dominant over the woman. And so the woman says, well, I wish I had a penis. Okay, so what does she do? She says, well, I'll go out and get one that's supposed to be more powerful than yours, but I'm going to control it because we are white and we control all of the non-whites. So she goes out and she selects, and all this is unconscious, you know, activity, if you will. She goes out and selects a non-white male, be he black or any other non-white. Then she is walking down the street, or they can go to the, you know, justice of the peace or the priest or be married. And anytime a white man sees that, she is communicating to him, see, I've got one because I am in control of this.
But I don't think we can, you know, generalize to that extent. I think that that's a theory. But it's getting back to the question when we present our...
Now, another thing Dr. Russ said that when white women, right, go out there and find a non-white phallus, right, is a form of control to present to her man and say, I got the power, I got what is considered what you got, another man with phallus. So that in returns, I am powerful. And noticing that's not how things work in regards to the psychology of men. Matter of fact, to most white men, if they think their woman think like that, will look at their woman side-eye, one, and number two, in the back of their mind, they're gonna start laughing at their woman because saying the only person that has the dick is me. Because thus forth, my dick is the one in charge and rule of everything. You submit to the phallus. That means me. So everything besides or don't come before me is secondary. And thus said, white women do not really have the power. Matter of fact, they play the role very well in regards to when their man goes and dates out and mess around. Because if that was so the case, then his structure will not really sustain the way it is without his woman's participation. And we all know from watching not only his but present day, the women are very much subordinate and very much in submission to what their man does. Don't be fooled. Do not be fooled, people or gentlemen. So what she said, I don't really agree with on that. Because if this man's almighty power, then what his woman does in regards to getting their dick is pretty much irrelevant to him. That's the honest truth. All right, let's keep going. All right. Okay.
Arguments that way is whether the relationship between black men and white women are pathological. Now, Frances said she doesn't like to think of it in that framework, but the fact is that a lot of psychiatrists have presented or said that interracial relationships in marriage stem from a type of negative psychological position or some type of pathology because of the racism in society. They'll say that the racism distorts people's minds so that frequently you'll get, say, a white woman attracted to a black man for the wrong reasons or for racist reasons. She may see him as inferior, that might turn her on, or she might see him as a black stud, that may turn her on. All of these are racist perspectives. Or the black man can get attracted to the white woman because she's supposed to be superior, and he wants to be part of that whiteness. In other words, she's sort of anointing him or helping him to feel a sense of self-worth by his involvement
Well, I wouldn't
with
argue
her.
with any of that.
But
yeah.
at the same time, I think that
let's look
we
at it
can't
this way.
say that this happens with everyone, and even if it does happen, that this is pathological.
Well, let's
there's
look
lots
at
of
it this
things
way.
motivating
Let's
people.
say, for example, white men and white women have many difficulties in terms of marriage, all right? I mean, there's a lot of alienation that is going on just within the white group itself, within the whole total context of the white supremacy system. Black men and black women have serious problems in terms of the marital relationship. Now, either we say that all of these people are sick because of, various problems, or we can say, well, now let us look at the total behavioral phenomena that is occurring within a social system. Let's not bother to label it, but let's begin to understand what is happening. Do you see what I'm saying? Because there are many, many problems. I wouldn't want to say that I don't think it's useful. At one level, we can say, all right, these are pathological relationships, the problems that black men and black women have. Or we can say that the problems that white men and white women have are pathological. But I don't think that
society is
because
pathological.
once you say pathological, then
Which means sick.
Which means sick. Then people who can be helped by understanding the dynamic, they're turned off because they don't want to be labeled as sick, but they may want to understand the phenomenon.
Well, for purposes of analysis, let us assume.
Like, let's say everybody who comes to a psychiatrist doesn't want to be labeled as sick. They say, I have a problem. I don't understand how I am relating to this other individual and the product that we have that I don't want. Let me help me understand it so I can straighten it out. And this is where I'm coming from. I don't want to create a big
At the
thing
same
about
time, though, I think we can recognize certain things that, I don't know if we want to call them sick, but that are distorted. For instance, I've seen black men married to white women, and essentially they hate other black people, that they have sort of joined the oppressor and are actively anti-black. And they also
An expression of self-hatred.
That's
Now,
right. It's an
yeah.
expression of self-hate for them to marry a white woman.
But now
On the
look,
other
I
hand,
have
I
been-
see some
yeah.
black men who are married to white women who remain militantly black.
Well, couldn't
or
that be
stay
a defense
involved with the
mechanism?
black
But there's a
community.
contradiction
But
still.
being militant, let's
Yeah.
deal with this. Some of our most revolutionary blacks have white women. Now, many blacks suspect, and it's an open secret, that their militance is simply a defense mechanism so that they can deal with their need for a white woman.
But look at it this way.
that might-
Many of those
Yeah, go
so-called
ahead.
militants who are married to white women, I think it's because of the way that they have defined the problem for themselves. Many black people who a white person will say, well, that person is militant because the person happens to be saying black power. They are not really talking about the overthrow of white supremacy. They're talking about workers of the world unite, maybe. Do you see what I'm saying? But because they are black, they're saying, well, okay, I'm saying in terms of a
You're
whole
saying they're talking
humanistic
integration,
struggle.
in other words.
They
wanna
are
share in
talking
the
right.
power.
Do you see what I'm
They
saying?
wanna
So
share
they
in the
don't.
power.
They
They're
don't
talking
perceive,
integration. I think.
but they don't perceive a contradiction because the whole struggle of black people until recently has been defined as trying to get we want to become a part of the society as though it is possible for people of color to become a part of the society. Now, some black behavioral scientists are saying, on the basis of having made an analysis that the system is one of white supremacy, in which none of the non-white people in the entire world, who happen to make up 9/10 of the total world population, none of the non-white people can actually integrate into the system of white supremacy because it is just that, maintaining white supremacy. Okay, so now within that context, then some black people are rethinking the position in terms of, now, if I am talking about the overthrow of white supremacy as a system worldwide, then what does it mean for me to not only marry, but for me to have sexual relationships with a person who, whether they are willing or not, are participating in the maintenance of white supremacy? And some of us are taking the position that if a white person really says that they like a black person or a non-white person, then they will abstain from sex and they will abstain from marriage because they perceive also their position within the white supremacy context is, as long as we have a system of white supremacy, then white people, when they relate to non-white people, are relating at a level of unequals.
But you're
and
saying-
until it's equalized, then something else is happening. Do you see what I'm saying? In other words, the non-white person who is in bed with a white person, thinking that they are bringing about a humanistic union, are really bringing about their further subjugation, because they are thinking
black
in
person
the
is.
act
Yeah.
of sex
Yeah, but
that now we are one and now we are equal. And so when you find that those people who are in bed with white people, when they get out, like you said, they are negative, and you can make a diagnosis. If you see a black person being very, very negative when they are, you know,
With other
Francis,
Now we're now 15 minutes in here, right? I know the subject is staying on top of the subject, which I respect. But I have to ask, you talking about people, black people and non-black people. But no one ever asked Dr. Francis Cress was at this time. And I think they're never going to, because how we are thinking here in society as men. You talk about the men, but what about the women? Because you woman yourself, Miss Welsing, right? So what's the mindset of black women in regards to relationship with non-black men? Is my question. Because even with the notion of militancy, with the black man that's always militant, been militant, wherever, and he's in a relationship with a white woman, he stays militant. I would say, I don't know, maybe. I don't think so. It's gonna be hard for me to say that you're gonna stay militant and your wife is non-black, to my perspective. But it's just me. But overall, you know, one of the few things about militancy, right, is that you know who yourself, you know what you are and where you're going. And I'm not sure how bringing people that are not part of your racial ethnicity going to help and support your militancy moving forward. So that is questionable enough. But back to the fact what Miss Francis wasn't talking about, this thing about the mindset of blacks and when they sleep and how they operate. Black people today operate because they move and act and conduct themselves like infants to a perpetual system that indoctrinates them to be like children and not to move and think like adults on the average. Hell, think about this. We have music right now, even to these ladies that sing that verse from that rap, right? And a lot of your scholars, a lot of your intellect have been telling you time and time that you, when you listen to certain vibration or certain music, you're being constantly programmed subconsciously. But they still think it's not no big deal. And it tells you this is the where the infancy and the childlike mindset goes along a long way to a lot of black folks that, you know, it proves a point that, yeah, you are constantly still moving like a child and not learning what the adult has taught you. But overall, you know, with the same with the interracial coupling, the militancy, and really truly thinking about, you know, where black people reside mentally when they're in beds with these people, it shows you that that mindset is not going nowhere much as it's not changing anytime soon when it comes between two races, especially when it comes to blacks. So really truly, with black men generally, it's hard for me to believe that you're going to be militant while in beds with a white woman, personally, because you're going to move and act radically, you know, and it's going to either comfort or make her uncomfortable when you're around her and her people. Just saying. But let's keep going.
with other
are you
black
saying
people.
this is in all cases? I mean,
Not
you're
in-
sort of
no, I
making
don't
a
wanna say
political.
all. I
Okay,
don't
but you're sort
wanna
of making
say
a political
all and
statement.
everything.
But you
just
have
saying
to
that-
agree.
I'm saying
but-
that the
yeah.
act of sex is a political act.
Yeah.
Do you see? Just like
When
every
it's
other
between
act.
people of blacks and whites.
Every act is a political act because when people relate, they are always relating on the basis of power. Do you see what I'm saying? Whether they are aware of that or not. You can never get away from that. And so even when people of different colors are relating, the question of power is brought into play. For example, the French, in terms of maintaining colonial domination in Africa, Arnold Toynbee has written about this, that they made it a policy, if the black man, you send him to the, the African who's in a colony, you give him a high school education and send him on to the university in Paris. He comes back and he says, all right, now I'm a Frenchman and I want to be free. I'm educated. I know as much as a colonizer. I want to be free. That you can cool him out by giving him a white woman. Do you see what I'm saying? And we see certain phenomena going on in the society today where black men who are married to white women are being given positions that black men who are not married to white women are not being given. Why? Because the white system perceives that that is a safe individual. Why? Because it is not only compromised in bed, but he is psychologically compromised. I mean, anytime you get in bed with somebody, sex is a very profound human act. And it has extreme psychological implications that spread into your, you know, what do you do in the area of economics? What do you do in the area of entertainment?
Why do we assume, though, that if a black man goes to bed with a white woman, he has to be assuming that she's superior, or he has to feel that?
He doesn't have to. She is superior.
Yeah, but he, suppose in his relationship with her, does he have to feel that he's coming from the inferior position? What about...
She can take him anytime that she wants.
What about just the biology of it?
If she gets angry with him...
What about the biology of it? That is, that he's involved in a sexual union that doesn't have political dimensions or meaning.
It does have political
even
dimensions.
to him psychologically.
Well, maybe if I'm saying what Dr. Welsing is saying, maybe she's saying that that's not conscious, but the dynamic cannot be eliminated on a logical basis. I mean, on a conscious basis, you can't say that unconsciously my behavior is not determined by something that I'm not aware of.
Okay,
like a lot of people say,
you're
well, this is
assuming
love.
that all black men then got this feeling of inferiority in them.
All non-white people feel
Okay,
inferior.
black folk.
See what I'm saying? All non-white people who are within the system and the dynamic and the power of the system of white supremacy, until they consciously work and struggle with themselves, and even then, are going to feel inferior because functionally we are inferior. Let's say you're a professor at Harvard, I'm a professor at Howard, physician, psychiatrist. I take the position that we are functional inferiors. In spite of that, even compared to the white person who has a grade school graduate degree. Why? Because within the political power system, they have more power to control what happens to their lives than you and I have to control in what happens to ours.
What about the fact that a lot of black men say that they are going with white women and so on because they're trying to get back at the system, or they're trying to get revenge, or this is really a hostile act, and it doesn't, in fact, that they see it as a confrontation with the white system, and not as something that they're succumbing to as an inferior person, that they're asserting, in a sense, their manhood, or saying they just have as much right to have a choice about the women that they want that white men used to have and still have. The white men can have white women, and they can have black women, they can have anybody they want. But black men were confined to black women, and they couldn't even have her when they wanted her.
Let's say this. Some black men say they're superfly. Some say they're...
Now, see, this is where she's going to go into the stupid-ass movies. And mind you, she's talking about Superfly that came out a year before they did this conversation. Now, how the hell you pinpoint that all black men are like Superfly? She need to explain this. Dr. Wells, you got to explain this.
Some say that they're super nigger and that they have power that they don't have. That's a fantasy. You see what I'm saying? We can say a lot of things. I can say, for example, I'm a psychiatrist and I'm free. Does that make it a case? No, it doesn't. The proof of what is it that I can do for myself? Can I protect my children? Can I protect anything that I call mine? The ultimate answer to that is no. So that we can say a lot of things, black men can think that they're doing a lot of things. It was not black men who said that white women could come now into the black community and start picking up whatever black man they want. The black man didn't have anything to do with that. And if the white supremacy system tomorrow morning wants to turn it around and say all white women come home because it's essential to maintain white supremacy, all white women will go home.
But don't you think, for instance, that psychologically, if white women have been forbidden to black men by oppression, if the black man has access to the white woman, that will make him feel more psychologically free?
It will fool them more. Let's say, for example, if you tell me, for instance,
he said psychologically free.
Well, that's not, well, wait a minute.
He didn't say functionally free.
No, it's a fantasy, and then it's a psychosis. Do
right?
you see that?
What
Right.
do you
In
mean
other
by
words, if you
psychosis?
are operating, just like they tell us in psychiatry,
That means a loss of contact with reality.
Are functioning, if you are functioning on something that is not reality, then you've had it.
Well,
okay? Now, but this is something that the white supremacy system understands. You see what I'm saying? They understand. Well, now we programmed these victims to feel that if they get a white woman, they will have it. Like a black cat told me who was graduating from graduate school at Harvard, that marrying a white woman was a part of the Harvard degree. In other words, I'm really in. Do you see what I'm saying?
Part of
All right.
ascending upward in.
All right.
In the
now,
system.
the system has
in his
programmed
mind,
us to think that. Just like it programs a black woman to say, all right, if you have a white man, that really means that you are in. Nonsense.
Oh no! Oh no! 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 I am sorry to say, my good Dr. Welsing, I would have to disagree with you with that one. A good portion or a majority of black women, even back then when you were having this conversation with this gentleman, even to present day, in their hearts, their minds, and in their full convictions, know that being with a non-black man, they, in doubt, in return, subconsciously make and believe that they are now upward and are up into the white echelon amongst people in their group, the dominant group. Most black women that do date and hope to get married to non-black men are in their mind, they think that they have arrived and made it to the point that they go as far as to have what we call the mixed race child. So I'm going to do, because a lot of people didn't really catch that. Let me rewind that back and listen carefully.
These victims to feel that if they get a white woman, they will have it. Like a black cat told me who was graduating from graduate school at Harvard, that marrying a white woman was a part of the Harvard degree. In other words, I'm really in. Do you see what I'm saying?
Part of
All right.
ascending upward. And
a lot of black men, let's be fair, honest, the ones that were foolish that even think that, and we know where they get this mindset from. They get that from the fucking, I cuss. They get that from the black. I'm trying to be nice here, guys. They get this from black women, or they get this in general from what they think and believe that they have arrived and made it. Those are foolish black men if they think so. And really, rare, most black men come to mind and think in the back of their head, saying, "Oh, I got me Sarah, I got Becky now, I made it, yay!" No. That's not how that works. Some of them, let's be honest, they just got, if they get a non-black woman, they say there's guy and there's show you shows it, it's nothing. As long as she could be able to listen to me and be on my program, no, that might work. But in regards that they made it, no. But black women, on the other hand, oh yeah, they think they made it. And here's fun if you can know the proof. They like to show off their zaddy. Listen to me, guys. Listen well. They like to show off zaddy. Hell, they will sit there when they're in relationship with zaddy. They like to see black men and hope black man has a reaction. Either towards they hug close and kiss on them because they want black men to feel jealous. Y'all not listen. Listen. Where is it? Where's my phone? Y'all got something listening. Y'all not listening. Let me say this again. They think and believe that they have arrived. And no, got somebody. Hold on. I'm trying to find if I have it. I have it. Is this one? No. All right, I'll find it. Anyway, let's keep going.
All right.
In the
Now,
system.
In
the
his mind.
system has
In his
programmed us
mind,
to think that. Just like it programs a black woman to say, all right, if you have a white man, that really means that you are in. Nonsense. Do you see what I'm saying? Because white supremacy is going on. And white supremacy will go on and victimize your children and your offspring irrespective of what you were doing in your bedroom
That's
activity.
true.
And the white supremacy system further would like the non-white and the black man to think that his phallus or his penis, if you will, is equal to an M16 rifle, which is what he maintains power with.
But Francis, you don't think it's possible for a white woman and a black man to be involved in a relationship as individuals without all of this stuff?
No more than it is for a black man and a black woman to think that they have
You're
got.
saying all these things
We
are always
don't know.
going on.
In other words, when the black man and the black woman decide that they are in love, you know, all those feelings that we call love. What we call love is just that historic programming, you know, what parent we were tied to and whatever dynamic was going on, and then we go and pick somebody who turns on those same feelings. And we call those feelings love. But that doesn't, just because we call it love and then glorify it, doesn't mean that we cannot understand how those feelings got programmed in that way. And so a black man and a black woman, particular people who've had particular experiences, meet on a sunny day and they say, we are in love. and we want to go off and get married, as though white supremacy as a major dynamic in the world has disappeared. Oh no.
But we don't have proof that most black men are programmed that way.
Do we have
See?
9/10 of the people in the world controlled by white
That's good,
supremacy?
but we don't have proof
Well, wait a
that
minute.
black
What does that
man
mean?
is programmed.
What does that mean?
That is.
Yeah, now the brother makes a good point. We don't have proof of this program. We don't have proof. We, on the other hand, have actually definite proof. We have black women move when they're around white men. That we have proof, but black men, no. And a lot of people can question me, but I'm just going to stay on that path that, yeah, there's proof that black women act and move a certain way when they're white men, but with black men, not necessarily the case. And we got to go beyond Jason, what is it, Officer Tatum and all those other coons. We can't use them as an example, unfortunately. All right, let's go.
We don't have the statistics to validate black men all wanting to rush after white women.
Wait a minute. Look at. Let's be honest. If we look at what is the dynamic that goes on in the so-called black community or more amongst black people, what is still, in the quiet recesses of our thinking, what is considered as beautiful? Still light skin and still straight hair. Well, what does that mean? See, that just means that the black mother who trained her son, I have a friend who says that his mother programmed him down in Oklahoma, just looking out the front porch. To the black girl who was light skinned, straight hair, there's a beautiful girl. To the black skinned girl with the kinky hair, she wouldn't say anything. Do you see what I'm saying? So that kind of programming, this is what I'm saying, that all of this goes on.
Gets involved in love.
All of this is involved in love. Who is a suitable choice? What kind of woman does a professional man marry? You see, you can just survey. All we have to do is look at the phenomena of the social laboratory.
Yeah, that's true.
And say, well, who are the people that particular people pick to marry? And we can understand that the dynamic of white supremacy is intact even when a black man and black woman are in bed. I've talked to black men who say when they're in bed with black women, they're thinking about Doris Day.
Let me pause it right there. I'm going to do a quick. It's going to be really debunk what this Francis just said about in their heart that black men are, programmed. And I just came across this section of the book called Day and Divide. We have to really have a real clear understanding of program. And if you guys like the stream, please like the stream. If you have any questions or anything, come on, participate in the chat room. But you have to subscribe to the channel. This thing I highlighted that came across about this thing about program. And remember, it was written by 3 PhDs. I think 2 of them PhDs. One might be, have a high degree when writing this book. 3 women now. I think 2 Caucasian, 1 Asian. Further throughout the U.S. history, the media has propagated stereotypes and images that ties beauty to white European or closer to white features, hair, texture, and body type. Whereas white femininity has been represented in popular cultures as beautiful and good, women of color, especially black women with dark complexion, has been historically represented as less attractive. Hegemonic images have framed white middle-class masculinity as normative, while subordinating minority men masculinity as either excessive or insufficient, often in ways that the black men to the former and Asian men to the latter. Patricia Hill Collins argues that these images have found particularly purchase in the masses media. One major question then is whether body types or socioeconomic status concerns that many of the interviews, and this is going on to some else, but I have to pause here. While I'm reading that section of Day and Divide, it is propagating who's better, who's not. But that's out of your control as a black man and black woman. Now, what she's saying about, the programming, yeah, there's some program. Always when you're in a society that you control or not, they're always dictating what's your views and opinions and what you see as beauty and ugly. for most black men, depending how the species moves, if you're a black woman, if you carry yourself a certain way, for not just black men, but pretty much for all men, because let's be honest, most black women are dating out. They are dating and trying to hopefully marry out more, and probably been doing it a little longer. That you have to bring something to the table to a man to make him take you on as a mate, and more than just a plaything. See, men have it easier, ladies, and you're not going to escape this. If the black man back in days when he was a kid and you were a kid, and he finds the other chick astoundingly pleasing in the eyes, right? She's a lighter skin and has less coarse hair. It's something that you have to do to really please back that black boy, regardless of the way you feel, to get at him. At the end of the day, you know, most men are going to be attracted by what has been propagated, but that don't mean all is lost. You have to do what is necessary in your favor to really pull him in. And not going to be perfect. It's not going to be best. I don't care if you try to get fake hair or do something to your skin tone. You have to make yourself and have to compete opposite to the woman that you consider to the black man that he looks at as a preference. And that's not something that's never talked about. I hear a lot of black women say, just take me as because I'm black. To me, I would say to agree with that, but that's not really enough. And to most of you women, you're not taking most black men because they're black. So can we stop this bullshit? It's like we're going in a constant circle about you must take me as I am. You're not even taking most of black men as I am, but you want him to take you as I am. And that, to me, is a remedy for disaster for you ladies. So there are some program that's going on, but then you must make yourself and do what's necessary to try to attract that black or that said black man. All right, let's go. Let's continue.
Oh, really?
I mean, where? See,
But Dr. Busan, you must.
Now he's talking about now. Francis Cress was talking about some woman, and let me see if I can find who the hell she's talking about. I'm gonna look up that woman right now, guys, because right there, that is very questionable. Who the hell is Dr. Francis? I'm gonna find out who she's talking about now. Let me do that. I'm gonna let this continue playing on. Let's go. And please, guys, like the stream.
all of this goes
Gets
on.
involved in love.
All of this goes in, it is involved in love. Who is a suitable choice? What kind of woman does a professional man marry? You see, you can just survey. All we have to do is look at the phenomena of the social laboratory.
Yeah, that's true.
And say, well, who are the people that particular people pick to marry? And we can understand that the dynamic of white supremacy is intact even when a black man and black woman are in bed. I've talked to black men who say when they're in bed with black women, they're thinking about Doris Day.
Oh, really?
I mean, where? See,
But Dr. Busan, you must admit, you must admit that there are some
this
black
is
men
nothing to be ashamed of. We have got to stop being
who
ashamed
exclusively
of
don't
truth.
like any female who is not white. Now, I'm sure that there you would have to have one constant, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you know,
if a man who is black doesn't even look at a black woman and looks at nothing but white women, and then isn't that significant? I mean,
yeah,
wouldn't that be significant enough to be a non-generalization?
Significant, but see, I don't know if we can relate it all as clearly to sort of political, you know, the white supremacy.
but
For instance, let me take it down to a personal level. Suppose something is operating like say the black man and his relationship to his black mother or to his black father, where he develops blocks against black women, and then he generalizes it all to other black women, and then he gets involved with a white woman. Now, that doesn't mean that he's necessarily indulging in any form of white supremacy necessarily.
He's not
That is,
indulging in white supremacy.
you can't assume that
He's
his
indulging in
rejection of
victimization.
his black mother is because she's black. He may be rejecting her for all
But
sorts
look,
of other
right, let's look at
psychological
that.
reasons.
Let's go down
see?
and look at that. Let us look
And
at
that the white woman is just happens to be
Wait a
there
minute.
where he
See,
can
but this is
on.
very common phenomena amongst our people.
May I interrupt you? We're going to continue this next week, and we don't want to lose it. Next week, we're going to continue part 2 of Black Man, White Woman, and a couple of things we're going to discuss with our same panelists will be why so many prominent blacks marry white men and why so many prominent black females in particular marry white men. To begin this second part of what was a very exciting first part, I'd like to throw the question out. What has the increase in relationships between black men and white women done to the relationship between black men and white women, in black men and black women?
Black women. Well, I think first we should say that, you know, there's interracial marriages that take place between black women and white men too. And that's a whole area because it seems that black men always get the focus of the interest and the attack, which is interesting because I think the society, white supremacy, has been concerned mostly with the black man, white woman. So I think that's the reverse of that, the white man, the black woman, also is a subject. There's no question, it seems to me, that black women, from what I can see, all over, very, very upset and threatened by the growing relationships between black men and white women, and that they oppose it. Now, from the black man's standpoint, I hear a lot of brothers say over and over again that first it was the white man who told them they couldn't go out with white women. Now it's mainly the black woman who's telling them that they can't go out with white women, so that they still feel oppressed. Now, for whatever that's worth, I think that's an important point psychologically for the black man, because is the black woman in this, is she more concerned with her control over black men, see, or is she concerned with white supremacy and interracial relationships in general? Because if black women are concerned in general, then they should attack.
I'm going to read your comments in a second. I'm just trying to find the name of the woman that Dr. Ferris question said that black men, when they have an intercourse with black women, they fantasize this particular white woman. I'm trying to find her name now. And it's about to come up now. What's that? Okay. I'm trying to find her name right now. It's about to come up now. All right, let's look. And the funny thing about that, because when you mention, you give names, you better hope this woman that you talk about is one of them stunning non-black women. Like, this is a woman that said, okay, you might make a point. Allegedly. All right, it's coming up now. Come on, Mary, and we can understand that. All right, where's her name? Oh, what the hell? It did not pop up. Let me wind it back. Hold on, guys. Doris Day. All right, her name is Doris Day. All right, Doris Day. Let's look who that is. Doris Day. Who is Doris Day? Are you serious? Oh my goodness. Are you absolutely out your damn mind? Yeah, Cress Welsing, she bugging. Y'all guys don't know what she's talking about, Doris Day? Let me see if there's any image of this woman. Hold on. Let me open up the window. Google. I don't believe she's saying this. Doris Day. No, it's Doris Day. All right. This is weird, man. No man is going to when he's hitting it from the back or blowing his woman's back out, it's going to tell his woman that as I'm hitting you from the back and I'm giving you this thing, you remind me of Doris Day. This is what Doris Day she's talking about. All right, guys, y'all ready to see who on Francis Cress Welsing talking about? Doris Day. This is what the good doctor is talking about. And I see a question. I'm about to check it now. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna read your chat room. Make sure. All right. I'm gonna read your chat now before I. All right, that's not it. Hold on. That's what I'm saying. No, where is my thing? All right. I know, guys. I don't want this. Okay. Yeah, your comment did not. You're going to have to rewrite your comment. Your comment did not go through in my Google, so you're going to have to rewrite the comment. If you write in comments and then Google did not accept it, I cannot read it. That's the rule. So whatever you put in the chat room, you're going to have to rewrite that because Google did not accept that. All right.
Course on declassification of the.
All right. Hold on. It's going through some things. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I'm right. It did not go through. You're going to have to write that comment. So I can't read the comment. But this is Doris Day for those that don't know what the good doctor is talking about. I'm going to share this right now and let y'all see what I'm talking about. This is Doris Day. Hope you guys can see this. This is what the good doctor talking about when black man is in beds with black women and he's giving her the business, right? They come up and look at her and talk to her directly and say, this is what I look when I finish hitting it from the back, blowing your back up and busting nuts in you. This is what I'm thinking of you that you remind me of. Doris Day. This is Doris Day. Doris Day. Ain't that something? Black man is hitting it from the back or hitting it from the front. And then after he's done, he said, baby, you know, you remind me of Doris Day. Oh my goodness. You got to be joking me. This is Doris Day? Come on. Francis. Dr. Welsing, you're kind of pushing it. You're pushing it. I'm sorry. I cannot accept that. I thought you were talking about some miraculous model that is very stunning. You're talking about a regular average woman like this. Anyhow, let's continue. I just got to share that because, you know, the good bird on the other chat channel did not show who Doris Day really is. This is Doris Day for those that don't know. So let's continue.
Just as much, I think, the white man, black woman combination.
Oh, and like I said before, if you wrote something in the chat room, you're going through right again. Google did not accept it. If Google don't accept it, I cannot read it. Unless a super chat to go past Google if you think it needs to be seen. But other than that, if you want to express what you view on the stream or a question on me, on what I'm doing, rewrite your question so Google can accept it. Once Google accepts it and I look at my end, I will read what you wrote in the chat room. Let's go.
But hasn't the black woman, to some extent, because the statistics have reversed. The statistics for black women, white men has decreased by the same percentage that the statistics for black men, white women has increased. Yeah. So obviously the black woman
has more cause for concern at this point.
Well, maybe perhaps she has more awareness, more conscious.
No! What is the answer to that? The good what's the name? I forgot the journalist's name. Tony Brown. What you witnessing, my good brother, is that white man cannot no longer have monopoly in regards to him have his woman that he wants to procreate to perpetuate the race as easily accessed no more now that the misogynist laws were broken by his own accords, i.e. a country bumpkin that was in a relationship with a so-called mixed / maybe potentially black woman back in the 60s. Because Loving versus Virginia was struck down, and now that the misogynist laws are no longer illegal, it opened the floodgates for all other racist men to go get at his woman, get at Sarah, get at Becky. Because you know, Sarah and Becky are good throat goats to you. Now they could be good throat goats to other groups of men. And getting their back blown out. And Mr. Charlie or Zaddy or Brad does not like it. Now he cannot no longer enjoy and have his fruit, have his cake and eat too with other women, including black women, which he treat as side piece. Facts. Facts. So it makes sense the dynamics of the racial dynamics shifted. Matter of fact, the legalization of interracial hurt more black women than black men. Because one time you would have side booted to white men for God knows since enslavement until 1967. Almost a goddamn over a century. And now that black men could sit there and put hard dick and bubblegum into other groups of women. Brad said, whoa, wait. Hold on, what? My shark? Oh no, you tainted. Oh no, I can't have you. You a black man. Was this thing that huge? And here's the weird thing about Zaddy or Mr. Charlie. He doesn't like knowing his pussy is being occupied freely now. He does not like that. He does not love that. He actually hates that. And now that misogynist laws are been struck down and broken, he has to shift what he's doing right now to now demonize black men even more, or non-black men to his woman, so that way he could still not only have access to his woman and still have white kids and have a free range of, you know, having sex with a woman, but to keep his white woman in nice little nip tuck, close in proximity to him, so that way he could feel good to still be in a world where the world is no longer in his favor, no longer in his control, regardless of what people talk about the economics, that he's not really in control, that like he said, because if he was really in control, these rules, these policies that put in place that keep, or was once segregating him as woman to other men, has been officially been broken. Like literally broken. And how we know, we could see the videotapes right now of loud white women pushing back against black men. Against white men, when it comes to their choice of who they want to have intercourse, or in other words, fuck. Literally. So let's play more of this video.
More cause for concern. Maybe her concern is not due to the fact she's threatened. Maybe her concern is due to the fact that she's just politically more sophisticated and more conscious of what black people ultimately may have to do, and that is unify themselves.
Well,
let me just
Francis.
add this, that I think that the black woman's concern is related to, let's say, perhaps her survival as a woman or her functioning as a woman. That, and hopefully, I hope it's beyond that, the change in the statistics. But I think that, let us say, black men after the age of 15 are decreased in the population relative to the number of black women. Where are they? They're in Vietnam, they're in prisons, and they're dying from various causes at earlier ages than white men comparably. So that, let's say, there are a number of women, black women, who are going without adequate spouses or male partners to relate to. So probably, instinctively, black women are concerned about that. Historically, white men have not been interested in black or other non-white women, be they Japanese, Chinese, Indian, or whatever. They have been interested in sexually exploiting black women, but not really taking them to the altar, let's say, to marry them or to really fully respect them. So perhaps black women are responding to that. But I think that what is key is really what is happening to blacks, because I see the thrust of white women sexually aggressing against the black man, or from the other side, the thrust of the white man sexually aggressing against the black woman, that this produces a division between black men and black women that is going to contribute significantly to, if you want to call it, genocide of black people. In other words, if you heighten the alienation between black men
It's going to make
and
it
black women,
harder to organize.
right, it will. In other words, we talk about unity at a political organization level as being one kind of unity, but there is another kind of unity that is much more fundamental, and that is the unity within the family unit itself. And we have been denied the opportunity to really have functioning family units since the the really onset of white
Let's talk about
supremacy.
let me ask one
Okay.
question. Let's talk about the contemporary family unit of a interracial couple in today's American society. We're
You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna run that back one more time. I want her to clarify it so you guys don't misconception Francis Cress Welsing's words. Let's rewind that back. All right. All right. All right. All right. Let's see where it goes. Let's go.
At this point,
Well, maybe she
perhaps.
has more awareness, more consciousness, more cause for concern. Maybe her concern is not due to the fact she's threatened. Maybe her concern is due to the fact that she's just politically more sophisticated and more conscious of what black people ultimately may have to do, and that is unify themselves.
Well,
Let me
go ahead,
just
Francis.
add this, that I think that the black woman's concern is related to, let's say, perhaps her survival as a woman or her functioning as a woman. That, and hopefully, I hope it's beyond that, the change in the statistics. But I think that, let us say, black men after the age of 15 are decreased in the population relative to the number of black women. Where are they? They're in Vietnam, they're in prisons, and they're dying from various causes at earlier ages than white men comparably. So that, let's say, there are a number of women, black women, who are going without adequate spouses or male partners to relate to. So probably, instinctively, black women are concerned about that. Historically, white men have not been interested in black or other non-white women, be they Japanese, Chinese, Indian, or whatever. They have been interested in sexually exploiting black women, but not really taking them to the altar, let's say.
All right. So now that you fully understand, Miss Dr. Welsing, I point the fingers back at this again. In regards to you talk about the black man's affinity for white women. Why are you not talking about this with black women? Because last time I checked, I think a good portion of black women are already aware that on the average, if they're really smart, which I question their intelligence, but that's another question, that don't they see that Brad does not really find you in a way pleasing enough to go as far as make you a wife where he secures you fully, not just temporary. I mean that he'll keep you around for the side. Sometimes you might have to pay in for him, or he might chip in some little small, and then he makes somewhat of a relationship, not no situation where you're a side piece where he shows up, you open your legs, you open your mouth, you give him some nice little head, you give him the box, and then eventually if it's good, he might go out to somewhere cheap or whatever, and after that he sends you back your merry way. No, he indulged in exploiting other groups of women for his comfort, and he got a nice, I think last time I checked, a loyal woman, which is his own woman, back at home, maybe cooking, cleaning, and also will give some sex and have his kids. That's the reality he wants to have. He does not no longer control that no more. He doesn't even have that no more. So now what he does now is he'll still do what he has to do, but at the end of the day, when he does what he does, he by default is still operating where he sees you as just another object, something to use, to abuse. Now, a lot of women will say, well, black women abuse black women, and that might be the case. But the problem is black men overall cannot exploit black women in a long fashion where, you as black men, you don't see what's going on and you don't stay around. I don't care if black men consider the thing to be good. They will move on or have another dude aside just for the sake of conversation. That's how you look at it. They will play that part to the point where, black women don't stay around long, even a man that they attract to or not, which is within their own group. But Mr. Charlie, he could do everything, including all of the above what that black man will sometimes do to him. But here is the kicker. She'll stay because he is not black. And in her mind, like the good BJ said, and as a matter of fact, I play there. He said it best, and this is always stick to me constantly. If you notice what I'm about to play, you know what I'm talking about. This is what thing that sticks to me. What black men true intentions are when they're with Zaddy.
21 years military, 13 years overseas since 1994. All the white men I knew during my service military with black baby mamas would never put on child support. Explain this reality, black woman. No, they got their reparations, a mixed baby and a white dude, right? They got their reparations, a mixed baby and a white dude, right? They got their reparations, a mixed baby and a white dude, right? They got their reparations, a mixed baby and a white dude, right?
You a goddamn
Have we learned anything? Not even go as far as put the man on child support. That is so devious. But anyway, you understand. Let's listen more. Let's go.
To marry them or to really fully respect them. So perhaps black women are responding to that. But I think that what is key is really what is happening to blacks, because I see the thrust of white women sexually aggressing against the black man, or from the other side, the thrust of the white man sexually aggressing against the black woman, that this produces a division between black men and black women that is going to contribute significantly to, if you want to call it, genocide of black people. In other words, if you heighten the alienation between black men and black women,
harder to organize.
Right. It will. In other words, we talk about unity at a political organization level as being one kind of unity, but there is another kind of unity that is much more fundamental, and that is the unity within the family unit itself. And we have been denied the opportunity to really have functioning family units since the really onset of white supremacy.
Let me ask one question. Let's talk about the contemporary family unit of a interracial couple in today's American society. We're in the black community, we have to admit that the black community is much more nationalistic, or very nationalistic, and that the black community is not receptive as it once was to interracial groups. The white community, I would say, has moved to the right to a very great extent.
You mean seemingly to the left? Do you mean to be more receptive to?
No, more reactionary to
It's more
interracial
reactionary.
couples.
No,
I'm talking about the middle America. I'm not talking about a few New York sophisticated interracial couples or San Francisco. These, I think, are just islands, are surrounded by
I would
very
disagree with
cautious
that,
white
Tony. I
communities.
would say that white people have moved to accept black men and white women to a greater degree than has ever been evidenced in this area of the world. And that is across the board.
Then does a black man...
And I would say that there's a reason for this. They are being conditioned by the kinds of movies that are being made these days, where you have black men and white women engaging in sex on the screen or other kinds of relations.
Don't forget, also there are movies that show black women engaged in intercourse with white men, because you're talking about the 70s. That's where the rise and the introduction of what is considered black exploitation movies, Miss the good Dr. Welsing. If don't forget about that, it's not that it's post and pure interracial with black man, white woman. You're missing the part where black women are in these same movies have intercourse with white men as well. But they're not gonna talk about that. No, they're not. Shh. Let's go.
At the white community. In other words, those people who are responsible for getting the masses of white people to do those things that are necessary to maintain white supremacy are conditioning them to accept this phenomena Do you see? Because they understand that the black man really is being psyched out of position. He is being psyched to think when he asked for black power and liberation, and they said, no, we're not going to give you power, but here we will give you the white woman. And the black man was faked out of position, just like many people are faked out of position. You say black power, I'll give you a $15,000 job. You don't have power, you don't have self-determination, but you have a program or a grant. Do you see what I'm saying? In other words, you ask for this, but I give you this because you really don't know what you want.
Well, then are you saying
or
that
you
the
don't
children...
really know what constitutes power, or you really don't know what is the dynamic of the system. A lot of people think that the dynamic of the system is money. Money is not the dynamic of the system. White supremacy, or the maintaining of white power throughout the world, when whites are outnumbered 9-1 by non-white people, is the name of the game. Color is the name of the game. But we don't, I say that across the board and around the world, non-white people have not understood the significance of the color dynamic and how white people have taken something that they are very intimately concerned about. I say that the fact that they cannot produce color, that they have decided that they're going to dominate everybody else who has this genetic capacity, who can genetically annihilate them. You see, comes one drop of black blood makes you black. That is a statement of the genetic dominance of the capacity to produce color over the inability to produce color.
And occasionally you'll find, I guess Francis has encountered this too, you'll find white women who have a preoccupation and desire to have black babies.
And white men have a desire to create children.
Well, let's
of
talk
color.
about the first. Let's talk about the obsession, if I may use that word, on the part of a white woman to have a black baby. Now, what would the psychological dynamics be in a case such as that?
Well, I think, it's hard to tell without really just picking an individual case, but it may...
Tell you.
Go ahead, Francis.
Well, can you have you ever had a case?
Yes, I know black psychiatrists who say
I've
that
had
white women don't say this to white
wanted
therapists.
To have black babies.
But white women will say this to a black psychotherapist. I want to have a black baby.
Why? Why
I
do they
say why? Because white people, if we look at the skin color white is the genetic inability to produce color. It is a genetic deficiency state. It is a form of albinism. It has never been discussed in this way, but genetically, biologically, this is what it is. White people they don't have the capacity to produce color. They wish they could. This is why they spend a lot of time sun tanning, makeup, all of that is trying to give color to colorless skins, okay? Now, because they have this deep psychological need, they are the only people in the world, they are the minority in the world who cannot produce color. And so they can't produce it, they can't make it on their own. They try to suntan, and then at the sexual level, they have attractions to people who can give them the illusion that they have participated in the production of color. So the white man has gone all over the entire world having sexual relations with every group of non-white women that he meets. The white woman, when she has been allowed to, sexually aggresses towards men of color.
She is allowed to.
And so then she gives vent verbally to that fantasy. I want to have a product of color because this is the one thing that I can't do.
Francis, how much is color the issue? I think that...
You can't move
No, I know
color.
okay, but what I'm trying to do is bring in other elements. That is, there's also, I've seen in some of these women a desire sort of to play a model role or a really superhumanistic one. That is, they want the world to be colorblind, so they want to get involved in producing black children and raising them.
If they want the world to be colorblind, what is the focus on color all about? If the world is colorblind, what is the point of talking about having a black baby?
This is some of their rationale. What I'm saying, I think that some of it is political in their minds. That is the time that the civil rights movement was talking about black and white together. And that was a political position that people almost felt forced to have interracial relationships. And that was considered to be in the forefront of the whole thing.
Well, may I ask the question?
Both blacks and whites.
May I ask the
they
question?
Were both involved.
You did quite a number of investigative studies. I remember reading one in Jet magazine on the interracial relationships in the South during the civil rights movement. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Now, wasn't there, or was there, or is there a phenomenon of black leaders and white women?
Well, I don't know if it's a phenomenon. Let me say that I would say a lot of the black leaders and the rank and file were involved with white women. There were also a lot of white men involved with black women, but I think the main group, that is the largest group involved, were black men with white women. And that this created a lot of problems. And I think it had a lot to do with the development of the black consciousness movement.
Well,
in
didn't
that
it have a
framework.
lot to
What did
do?
it have to do with it? Wait a minute. See, there are people,
See?
for example, who are looking at the thing that
Yep.
has cut significantly into the quest for black power that went on in the 60s has
Mm-hmm.
been the unleashing of white women and saying that now you go out and have relationships with a black man to cool him out.
Yeah, it had
in
political
terms of
significance.
all right.
No
so
question
that so
about
that
it.
let's say, for example, the white woman, if you talk to women who are the furthest left, white women,
Mm-hmm.
who are in the women's liberation movement, peace movement, or any anti-war movement, if you say, look, what about eliminating white supremacy as a system? They have no use for that. They have no use even for the black man outside of the
they
context.
say they will, but I don't know
Wait
how
a
much they're
minute.
doing.
It has been my experience. Maybe yours is different. It has been my experience that white women will talk about in the war in Vietnam. When you say, well, that's a war to maintain white supremacy, then they don't want to have any trouble with looking at it in that way. When you say, well, look, the way that we have analyzed the problem is it's not a question of who has the money, it's a question of an established system to maintain white power, and that this is what is raising havoc all over the world for the vast majority of people. Do you want to eliminate that? No, because the white woman understands that the black man is not even going to feel towards her as he does unless there's white supremacy and unless he feels in his powerless position that he is gaining power by making an alliance, be it marital, sexual, or whatever kind of alliance with the white woman.
I think that they feel that maybe unconsciously. But there's no question in my mind that with a lot of the white female workers in the movement, even though they were involved with black men and sometimes married to them, that a lot of them had a lot of racist ideas and feelings. That is, frequently the attention of the black men made them feel very special.
Right, like you called it the African queen or the white African queen.
Yeah, the white African queen. Heighten their sense of feeling special.
You mean attention they
Right,
couldn't
you
normally
see,
get from a
because-
white man?
But look at this,
And
let's
then
look at
the
that
old
in
thing about
relation.
white women frequently who were unattractive, who came into the black community because the black
could be
men would
ugly or
adore
fat,
them
but a black
because
man
they
would
were
think she
white,
was beautiful,
but the
right.
black men thought she was beautiful.
right.
And that's still operating frequently, sometimes in subtle ways, so that you can sometimes get, I'm not saying this is true of all white women or anyone, but this is an example. You can get a very pretty white woman sometimes who internally thinks she's no good.
Why?
For a
Because
lot of
she
reasons,
has been devalued
who might
by
get
the white
attracted
man.
to black men.
See, white
So it's
women are
not-
asking
it's-
for
it runs
liberation.
deep
They are
sometimes.
asking for self-respect from their own men. Okay, because a white man not only had to be dominant to all people of color, he also had to dominate his own woman in the process. And so white women are saying, we want to be liberated, or we want to make ourselves equal to you.
All right, and it goes back to show about, white women want non-black or, non-white babies, right? Their desire to have sure of other groups of men, in my opinion, just as me, is to really, beyond having the small little genetics from other groups of men, is really to present to them that what you do, Mr. Charlie, I could do too, and possibly I might do better. I'm gonna have not only your kids, but I'm gonna have these Negro kids, like how you have and you implanted kids had from me and from other groups of women. You see, one thing I've learned that there's always constant fight between these two sexes, Caucasian men and Caucasian women, in regards who is better, who's strong, who's superior, who's not. This has been going on for some time now, right? And now that Caucasian women have the luxury to even now, have other groups of men without scrutiny. Well, there's some scrutiny, and when I play the next video, you're gonna see the so-called shame taps not their men are trying to do towards them. Is that now I am gonna be in the same playing field to the point that you will accept me as your equal. And we all know a lot of women don't understand men and women are not equal. And there has never been. But they try to fight against that. So they're gonna learn the hard way. All right, let's go.
You see, I think that that is a major
are you saying that- are
dialogue
you
that
saying
is
that-
going on.
are you
The
saying
white
that-
woman is
But
saying
don't,
she
don't
wants to
some
be.
of them want to rid themselves of the racism? Isn't this important,
No, see,
particularly
no, that's
when
like-
they're raising their children? I mean,
No,
wouldn't
they
you
don't
think
want
that-
to rid themselves of privilege.
Which
You
is
see,
white
and this is
supremacy.
why there was a study done recently where white women are still teaching 3-year-old, 2-year-old white children that it's no good to be black and that black people are niggers and this and that and the
Yeah,
other.
but what about the white parent of a black child? I mean, that white parent would have a vested interest in at least trying to deal with their racism so that they will raise
You
their,
would think
their
that.
children unscarred.
You would think that.
Now, all of us know, people from interracial homes. I mean, they're not all, brainwashed into being white.
No, they
But some-
can't be
most of them
brainwashed into being
have
white because
have
they're all
identifications
non-white.
in being
All of
bla- in
them
being
have
black.
marks of being non-white products. Either their hair is curled, their lips are broad, their nose are broad, or their skin is dark. Black genetic material is always going to leave its mark. And the children are always non-white. And the children that I have seen, many of these children have more hang-ups about not being white, you see, than black children who may be the same hue. You see, because they are caught in that dynamic of a parent on the one side, a white parent who still has not given up their desire to be dominant as a white person, and the black parent, be they male or female, who when they went into that alliance hoping that they would somehow be in the position of an acceptable one now after they had devalued themselves. So that the child is in...
I don't know if.
Well, she's
See,
I think
what I'm
she's-
saying
just for
is-
purposes of conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody can say all of
I'm not
anything.
saying
is
I
the
know,
same.
but it's important that if we're talking about it, it makes it seem as if these are.
Well, let's
like
look
the
at it
major
this way.
dynamics.
Non-white children who have had white parents, all of us, everybody in this little circle, has had some white intertappings into their genetic style.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying? Now, in the vast majority of non-white people in this area of the world have had white intertappings. So that it really is not significantly different than what happens actually in the white home itself. The dynamic is still the same. So that you have light-skinned, dark people feeling devalued because they have color. Whether it occurs in some illegal alliance of a white man having something to do with a black woman on 14th Street in Washington, D.C., or in Mississippi somewhere,
see,
or in Harlem, New York, or
there's
Fifth
a
Avenue,
black
or
parent
wherever.
involved too.
But
See,
what I'm saying is that,
I-
see, we cannot take any of this out from what is happening at a global level. See, one thing that has happened in psychiatry, that we have been tied up with somebody by the name of Sigmund Freud, who I'm sure made some very significant contributions in terms of looking at human behavior or behavior. Some significant contributions, but he got tied up in talking about behavior comes from within the individual and only indirectly from what is happening outside of the individual. So he called it the sexual instinct, okay? But there are other people, fortunately, now who are coming along.
While we
And
have
who
time.
are, okay.
Yeah, but we're
While
not,
we have time.
we're not completely controlled, by the externals. I would like to think that we have some power over determining and understanding
have power
the
over what we don't
processes
understand.
that affect us.
While we have time,
But I don't consider
Yeah.
myself a complete sort of a robot who's affected by racism and don't understand it. And I think a lot of people like that, both some whites, but not a lot of them, and a lot of black people can understand or feel what's going on. And I think that's why you get some black men who are very aware about a lot of racial things in their blackness, who may get involved in those situations, particularly in the past. And you have some who are on the opposite extreme. But it's not like we're all...
Yes, all right.
Yeah, go ahead.
We would never resolve that very deep psychiatric problem. But I would like to, at least while we have a few minutes, discuss one very important point. And that is the significant phenomenon, and Dr. Poussin, I'm sure you will agree with us in an overgeneralized way this time, the significant phenomenon of well-known, I will not make well-known synonymous with prominent, black women who, particularly professional entertainers, who consistently marry white men in large numbers and one white man after the other. And I would like to
Okay, now we're talking. Let's hear Dr. Frank's questions and push back on this one. Let's listen carefully, guys.
know from either or both of you how you view this dynamic.
I say that they're not marrying the men. The white men are marrying them, okay? And I think
See that? Oh, I'm shocked. I am so shocked. The white men are marrying them. Really? Why, Dr. Frank's question? Why are they marrying these nigglets? These black women? can you do explain detail why white men marrying these particular black women?
Why you put it
I
that
think
way?
that is
Well,
important.
if they continually are selective.
Well, let's put it this way. Number one, that as I said earlier, that there is an extreme alienation going on between the black man and the black woman. In other words, this same conversation really could be discussing the alienation between the black man and black woman that allows for the significant phenomena of black man, white woman that we see. All right. Because there is that alienation, then black women and black men all across the economic board, no matter whether they're on welfare, whether they're making, you know, $150,000 a year probably as an entertainer, are having problems in terms of their relationships with each other. Now, some women who, you know, they may be in the limelight, or they may be considered beautiful, a star or something like that, all right, they have been frustrated in many of their relationships. If you take all of those entertainers, if they start telling you that they started out relating to black men and they had a number of kinds of problems,
we failed
and so
them, huh?
now, well, I don't want to say you didn't. No,
No.
you didn't fail us.
Okay,
You didn't
sis-
fail us. The white
yeah,
supremacist
okay.
system is just
See,
beating
now, black
all of
men
us.
will say that too about black women. That black women have let them down. and
Right.
messed
Well, you
over
see what
them,
I'm saying?
and
It's
they
just
go.
like the Julia syndrome. You know, Diane Carroll and the Julia. Black women have been programmed via TV and everything else. You don't need a black man. You just need a white man to give you a job.
So you say they need to be programmed to go after Mr. Charlie, Dr. Francis Cress, was it? Is that the island you want to rest your head in? Really? What is it that these black women really wanted white men because they wanted white men, period. And they view white men as some of a special and godlike figure beyond this thing we call programming. Because there's no way in God's green earth you get married, then you get divorced by Mr. Charlie, and you go find another white man, and you, let's say you're lucky to get married again and then get divorced again, and you go, no, that is not meant to us. That is a trend that they are secretly sexually attracted and seek out Caucasian men. And throughout these relationships, some of them do go around and have their babies. I don't know, Dr. Francis Welsing. It makes you wonder that because you were never married, did that stop you from having your way in regards to having interracial coupling with non-black men? Just saying.
At the same time, they're saying to the black man, you don't want a sapphire. She's too argumentative. She talks too much. You see what I'm saying? What you need is a white woman. Now, what does this produce? This produces maintenance of white supremacy. Why? Because you have
No person said you don't be a black woman because she's too sapphire. Go and tell you need a white woman. No, that's not how that really goes. So I disagree with what you just said.
divided and conquered the black man from the black woman,
But
just
I have
like
to-
you
I have to make
divide
this
and conquer
point.
non-white
But
people
I have to
all
make
over
this
the
point,
world.
if that's true. But I still must return to the fact, and I don't think we can lose this statistic, that there is a decline on the part of black women in general in interracial relationships, but there continues to be a significant increase among black women and white men when the black woman is a prominent entertainer.
Yeah, Tony.
Okay.
See,
because
I'm
look,
isolating, and we must address ourselves
okay,
to
well,
this.
look
I'm
what
isolating
happens.
that group of black women.
Part of this, I've talked to people about this in show business. One of the explanations they give, you can take it or leave it, is that in the entertainment field, where these women are most of the time, that there are very few prominent black men who have power. Black men aren't the producers, they aren't directors, they aren't the people putting up the money, they aren't the stage managers. That all of these people in that industry, the strong, dominant, powerful men are white.
Are you
And
saying
these-
that the black woman, in order to be successful in that field, must marry one of those white men?
No, I think that that's part of the phenomenon.
But many black women in the entertainment
around.
field do not marry white men, and they are still successful.
Yeah.
So wouldn't that not
But I'm saying
contradict
they're
that point?
coming in.
Oh my God, Dr. Tony Brown is destroying your talking points. This is why I don't know if Dr. Tony Brown is still alive. I'm gonna double check if he's still alive. But he's pushing the needle. He's pressing the point. Say, okay, and that is no excuse because some of that are in these same industries are still marrying and dating sometimes black men and having decent and probably good relationships. So that is not no actual fact. That's not even an excuse. So what the hell is going on here? What are we talking about here? Yes, some of them are in position of power, Mr. Charlie. But that didn't stop no goddamn some black women. I mean, some and all them did swore and mess around. Let's keep it real. They did entertain other groups of men before come around black men. For those that's coming on across the street, but it didn't stop them from marrying black men. Let that sink in, guys. Let's continue.
In constant contact with these types of white
And
men in the
they're not
business who
allowed-
have
let's say,
power,
look at it this way.
and starlets frequently marry men with power.
Okay, and
White
not only
actresses
that,
do
they-
this, white entertainers.
they're
But I
not
must
allowed
now
to
return to
black
your
men.
theme. Wouldn't the
Okay.
variable then be the individual?
No, look, there are not a lot of black men who are earning that same salary, okay?
Into that
and
thing.
because even at the lower level, black men and black women have problems because the white supremacy society has said it'll be easier for a black woman to make a particular salary. Black women can get a job easier than a black man any day. And
That's
that
not
has
true,
caused, huh?
I don't think that's true.
Well,
anymore.
just
At least
ask in the
these
community.
statistics. Okay,
Ask
go
in the
ahead.
community, because a black woman could be a domestic worker when her husband couldn't even work.
Yeah, but I think it's shifting. That's
Well,
all
it
I'm
may
saying.
be
Go ahead.
gradually shifting. I don't know about that looking at the current unemployment statistics, okay? But I'm
Yeah, but regardless of the current unemployment statistics, black men didn't sit on their ass while the women work. That's not necessarily the case. If that's what Dr. Fran's question was to hold ahead, that most black men were just straight up bums and they didn't want to work and just want to sit there, live a woman, I'm strongly going to say I disagree, especially during them times, unfortunately. And most men either got factory jobs or they had to have some trade or do something. And during that time, I really doubt most black men sit at home and let the women work and they don't do nothing. I don't really accept that. Because if you're a bum or trying to work as hard to become nobody bum, you're not get far in society as a black man. I'm sorry. And back then it was brutal. And usually things were not that expensive back then. And normally you could find something. Today, a little bit different now, but back then, yeah, there was always something. So I don't know if I want to agree with that per se, that black men just sit on their ass and let them work. And they just, and if he works, he's not gonna get a certain amount of money and stuff. He's working, isn't he? And usually if he's working one thing, he probably will work his way to something else. Because eventually, some black men will notice that what they do is not gonna be enough, and they're going to have to find other ways to hustle to make money. So I don't know if I want to agree with that. But y'all guys let me know in the comment section. Let's go.
saying that has been a sore point within the black family unit a long, long time, and that's why somebody like Monahan can come out and talk about matriarchal family structure. Why? Because the white supremacy society said, well, we'll let her make more money because it's really important to keep him down. All right, so this is what they did. Now, when you get to the level where the stars are, and the income,
Why the fear?
well, wait a minute, and the incomes that they're making, that number one, you have many black men who are not making comparable salaries. And when they are making comparable salaries, because of the dynamic that goes along with that salary, then he wants a white woman. So who's available for her? Because we have one black behavioral scientist who says when a black man is poor, he wants a job. When he gets a job, he wants luxuries. And when he gets luxuries, he wants a white woman.
All right, let me
now,
ask-
that is the
No,
dynamic
that's-
that is produced.
All right, let me ask
But
one-
you see what I'm saying? It's
one-
not
okay,
castigating the
okay,
black
okay,
man.
okay.
Well, I would have to agree on you, but I disagree because the numbers, as if we want to do with data back then and now, it's not really reflective that when men do good, black man, he goes out, so let me go get a white woman. You have to pry and pull black men to date out. Today, depending on the generation of black men today, that's not going to be necessarily the case right now because the interracial coupling now with black men and other groups of women has steadily started to increase. And reason why, because let's be honest, most majority of black women, as it stands, is very subpar and not really willing to be on nobody's program, including black men. And if they are married to black men, they are going to work extra hard to get out of it with this so-called 7% divorce rate. And be honest with you, no man wants to get divorced or deal with any woman that wants to get out of it for a reason. I'm sorry. So I just firmly disagree with you on that. That once men make certain money, black man, he's gonna go out and just date out and just marry white woman. Nah, it never worked like that. Especially back in the day when they were talking about and interracial coupling back then was very low. It only starts to climb up as time progresses. Matter of fact, this decade we're in now is going to probably be the highest you're going to see interracial coupling between blacks and whites, particularly black men. So let's go.
It's saying this is what the white supremacy society is programming.
All right, but consistently,
and we have got to keep that
consistently,
in
Dr.
mind.
Welsing, you have made the point in a very strong premise that the black man is the real fear of a political system based on white supremacy.
Oh, yes.
Why, I'll ask?
Well,
why the black man? Why is this system so afraid of the black man?
You know what
If
black
that fear
power
is the
means?
reason for interracial relationships.
You know what black power means? Black power means genetic power. The black man can annihilate the white man, you know, with his phallus. The white man has to build a missile to annihilate people of color. By that I mean this, that I think that the fundamental thing that is frightening white men and has frightened them since they were created as genetic mutations is that their appearance can be annihilated by the black man, especially the man who can create the most color, which is the black man in the whole human family. And that is the individual who has to be made inferior and who has to be controlled and has to be destroyed at the fundamental level of genetics. Then we can look at the next level in terms of numbers. That non-white people, if they outnumber white people 9-1 in the world, then the white man all over the world has got to say, now we have got to keep these people down. And you keep a people down by controlling their men. Women, that's why they can let...
I think that's true.
Succinctly,
That was
Dr.
the
you see,
policies.
and I think that this is where...
I think that's true, that all of the policies that they had in repression of blacks directed toward the black man's access to the white woman, because then he could, that way he could destroy white people eventually by making all people of color. Whereas the white man, his access to the black woman produced children of color, but they were black children.
No, the white woman is that all of the children of black and white are non-white.
Yeah,
whether it's a male or whether it's a male white or the female white, the children
whatever.
are all,
the children are all brown. But that's why they wanted to protect the white woman against the black man.
Not to protect her, to control the sexual activity of the black man. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Not
in
to protect,
relationship
but
to the white woman.
that's important. In other words, the genetic material of non-white men in the world has to be controlled if we don't want the disappearance of white people. And white people, even though they don't like the fact of skin whiteness, proof their quest for suntan, okay? Even though they have psyched themselves into the position that white is beautiful, although they don't really believe it, then they don't want white appearance to be annihilated because now you have a worldwide system that's 500 years old of white domination and white privilege.
And it's easier to control black people.
Thank you. Thank you very much for a very, very interesting interview and some comments. We hope to have Dr. Welsing back on a future Black Journal program discussing her very phenomenal genetic theory called the Cress theory.
All right, that was good. That was part 1 and part 2, cover in full. Hope you guys have comments, or in the comment section below you from this takedown and take. And really, as I said before, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing really didn't really talk much about black women in necessary importance about this interracial thing and their role in the play, nor the subject really applies and really focus on men. But really, I didn't really talk about the men, but also the women, really, in particular, why they get a real pass, like literate, a serious pass in regards to the interracial coupling, in my opinion. I think the reason why Dr. Cress Welsing don't really talk much about it or focus on it because she feels this is the man is the prize. He's powerful. So yet, for me to get any power, I must be in proximity, including in giving my legs to him. That's the notion that's being, presented here, unfortunately. If we want to be honest. But in my opinion, I think clearly, the good doctor had maybe a very few points about, the program and all that stuff. But if the program was so strong to black men to the point where he just gonna sit there and as he gets himself together, what we're gonna call, or get his money up, or just really he has an affinity to white women, then since 1967 and even today and present day, most black men will not be interacting or having intercourse with black women, period. For a reason, because why bother? Because they're the lowest of the totem pole, if we want to keep real. But black men, as it still is tickling right now, with the numbers, and it's going to slowly diminish as time progresses. Black men's not going to take black women's shit no more. And that's the honest truth that it's not being discussed. But anyhow, guys, what's your thoughts? I want you to leave your comments below on this one. Yeah. Now, what I'm going to present to y'all now is this videotape of white women expressing and talking about white men in a way where, you know, their decisions of them mess with non-black men are ways they're trying to demonize them. This is the words from their mouth about why white men have a problem with black men dating them. Let's listen. Let's go.
That when they date a white guy or before they date him, they always ask, do you date black males? And depending on her answer is going to determine whether or not that white guy is going to pursue that white girl. This is what they're saying, that they always ask, do you date blacks? Okay? And it's been said that not only white guys do that, all races of guys do that. The Latino, the Indian, Arab, they all do that. Before they date someone, they always ask, are you into black males? If they say yes, all bets are off. They're not going to deal with her. They're not going to deal with her. So this is why, you know, these white girls and these black females, they're saying that the white guy is jealous of black males because they always want to know whether or not you date him.
The amount of times I've been on dates with white men and they've asked me if I've dated black guys before is ridiculous. I was on a date with this white guy in Chicago last year and he goes, so who do you typically date? The guys that look like me? I knew exactly what he was getting at because most white guys will ask this question at some point because they're trying to figure out ultimately if you're, quote, tainted. I literally said to him, does it bother you that you think about black men so much more than they will ever think about you? And that ended the conversation, but obviously we didn't go on a second date and I do think he was pretty offended by that. But the amount of white guys, even who are, quote, liberal, who are genuinely threatened and intimidated by you going on a date with people of color is ridiculous. Because it's not just black men. If they find out that you've dated a South Asian man or you've been on dates with women, specifically women of color, they will react similarly. Although it is obviously the most pronounced and genuinely disgusted that they will look if you say that you have been on dates with black men. But this is just one example of white men trying to figure out the, quote, purity of the white women they're seeing. And it's a way of resource guarding their own women because they don't like white women seeing other races or other genders.
Let's talk about jealous white guys for a second. Now, truthfully, you don't get jealous black guys because they sort of know what their competition is, but there are some white guys who feel so entitled to get the woman that they want, but they feel under pressure from society that they need to have like lots of money to do it, and then they need to splash out loads of cash in order to get the girl that they want. Let me repeat, right? Generally speaking, women are not trophies. Women fall in love with charm, charisma, personality. Yeah, also looks, but you've got to be a nice person at the end of the day. And if you're pretentious, if you're snobby, if you're splashing the cash, you know, whining and dining women for absolutely no reason, getting annoyed because the girl you're dating, her ex was a black dude, and then you're getting all jealous about it, there's just no need for it. So I have to say, from my experience, I think that this just needs to go.
I've noticed that white men are jealous. And while this is more typically pronounced in regards to black men because of these stereotypes about black men's, there is a lot of envy from white men for men of color. But it's just crazy how much racism is rooted in jealousy, specifically white men's inability to satisfy women, because that seems to be a problem that quite a lot of people have reported with white partners or husbands.
Damn! Come on! Oh my God! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's go.
1, 2, 3. You're so good.
Now, if you think about most or majority women, especially non-black women, they sure love when a black man picks them up and lifts them like it's nothing, because most of them on the average are pretty much their average weight, which is really 120 to as high as 130 on the average for average height, which most women nowadays in America is like 5'4". Some women could push from 5'6", maybe 5'7", but most women on the average for the numbers is like 5'4", so they're gonna be average weight. So they kind of like when a black man just lift them up like it's nothing. Actually, you know, if you think about it, gentlemen, a lot of Caucasoid women get turned on. They get wet quick when they notice he could do that. Carry on.
4, 5, 6. Yeah.
This is a public service announcement for white men.
Never try to control a woman. Let her move freely. Let her choose.
Don't blame races, blame evolution, and blame genetics.
To all the white women, how many times have you been on a date with a white man and they ask if you've been with a black person before? Because I asked some of my white friends this question, and like a lot of the girls were like, this is a question like I've got like.
Yes, so much fucking yes, but black men have asked me too, but for very different reasons. But let me start with this. I'm not raised in the South, I was raised in California, so you think this wouldn't be that prevalent, but it is. I was raised in a household where every older white woman around me told me that if I was ever to date a black man, I would be tainted and a white man would never want me again. Naturally, as who I am, I never gave a single fucking flying fuck. White men ask if you've ever dated a black man because it's rooted in racism and for the fact that they think that they cannot compare sexually. Those are the two things. Mostly racism. Black men ask white women this to make sure that they're not being tokenized. To make sure that you're okay with different cultures. And they also have an issue with white women that only date black men. Because that's fetishization. And just for reference, ladies, the only difference I ever seen in size is that one sits bigger when they're soft and one doesn't. White men tend to be growers. And black men tend to be showers. There's big and small in both. Just for reference. Women, how do you feel about this? And black people, am I wrong? Am I wrong? Did I get this wrong? Or if I'm on the right track here? Let me know. Thank you. Bye.
For some reason, the sort of elite kind of enlightenment white men have always obsessed over men's bodies. And we've seen that a little bit here and there. And yeah, we also know that Grindr crashed during the RNC and blah, blah, blah. And we do know that our fearless leader loves to, like, touch very handsome men. But I'm not going to get into, like, sort of the sort of sexual preference or anything. This is really about how these men through history have always sort of ogled men's bodies. And at the same time, in the past, when the Atlantic slave trade and the Middle Passage was going on, the scientific revolution was also exploding. So what did these sort of budding scientists get fixated on? Black bodies with phrenology and all of that, but there's more to that. With phrenology, they were trying to prove that, like, according to skull shape, you know, African men had, like, smaller brains or smaller intellect according to white men. Yes. Yeah. And I studied this in research with my book, which takes place on a plantation in the 1760s. So this is what I've been reading for the past, like, 2 years. And so what I mean by this is that there were instances where these men, these writers and stuff, are writing just about how the black body and specifically was, like, made for, like, high performance, which, you know, you can equate that nowadays with, like, sports athletes, artists, and things like that. But there was, like, this obsession that Enlightenment white men had about black bodies, men, and yes, women, but, like, the men, it gives there's a residue there.
Most white men.
I'll translate for the lady. The obsession is the bodies, meaning what's down below a black man's body. And you constantly hear about the black man's phallus. And they always ask the woman that they deal with. And someone will be bold and tough, say, "You been with a black man?" And when she said yes, no, in their mind said, if she is that, in their mind, they think, well, you're dealing with a man that might be more endowed than me, has more physical features, if he's more physically appealing. But one thing is always not only the complexion, but the physicality and the phallus that white men have a very much affinity for a good portion of black men. So that's the translation for those that don't know. Let's continue.
Men nowadays are obsessed with black men. Some of them are envy and jealous, and that's masqueraded as racism. You know, the usual slurs. Sometimes you can be confused because you've done nothing to them whatsoever. A lot of it comes from jealousy that white women are exploring more of their options and they're finding a lot more black men attractive. Some white men take this and they take it the wrong way, okay? They could be mad at you for a woman that you might not even like, but because she is attracted to you, now you are the problem. They're gonna call her slurs, like derogatory terms, like what do they say, mud shark, but they're overall going to place the anger onto you and call you the problem. They literally sit and think about you all day. Do you know how many videos and conversations that I've had with either one of my white homegirls or just videos online where they detailing men on dates asking if that woman has been out with any black men? The obsession is real, and it will sound so extreme, it damn near sounds like a fan fiction on some book talk shit. Despite popular belief, we're not as mentally weak as we once were. You know what I mean? With all the Twitter conversations, everything aside from that, I've seen a lot of resilience within the community as of recent. So I gotta give you guys my props, right? We live in the best time for at-hand information that you can go retrieve a source and really double check your facts. Black people aren't typically going to succumb to societal pressure as much as they used to, as far as things like surgery that is influenced by white America. Like, I barely hear or see anybody getting nose jobs like how they used to, okay? Maybe it's gone up, but I haven't seen anything, I haven't read anything that suggests otherwise. Like that Michael Jackson shit, I hate how he was made to feel like his nose was messed up or wrong. He just had a black nose. He just had a black bell pepper nose. The BBL shit, it's disappointing. I don't even want to talk about that right now. It's going to give me a headache. But other than that, I feel as though our community is pretty resilient right now. Aside from Twitter, the Twitter space, pretty resilient. So there's going to be a lot of envy going around coming from white men because they're jealous of either how you look or the women that they think you are taking from them, okay? Understand, with all this obsession and hate that comes from white men to the black men, it's never going to match a black woman's. I'm trying to tell you. Societally speaking, it's not to compare struggles or anything. They both have it societally hard because they try to take everything and they try to make it their own swag, brand it off as their own. But for black women, they do that at 10 times more, tenfold. I wanted to touch on this topic for a little bit. I didn't even go in depth as like I wanted to, but I try to refrain from this kind of topic because I've talked about white men a few times on this account. But people need to understand there are things happening where you will get unreasonable hate or obsession. Join the Discord, one-on-one coaching in the bio.
All right. Thank you. So to wrap up everything, there you have it. Now, let's keep in mind, this is the obsession that white men have for a long time. Well, it comes with the territory when you're dealing with when you're no longer the sexual or the top hunch of men right now to the eyes of your women. It is what it is, and like most competition, you're going to try to compete as best as possible, Miss Charlie. Like black men, it is what it is. Anyhow, guys, thank you for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. All right, guys, that's it for me. What's your thoughts? Leave a comment below. And like always, subscribe to the Cress Welsing Show. Leave your comments and please hype this video up. I know this was a long one, but I had to go out and lay out everything that was said on today's stream. In my opinion, the good doctor has potentially dabbled in her lifetime. She's not married. She has no kids, which is really shocking personally because when I look at Dr. Cress Welsing, what she came out, the theory, the Cress theory, and all her writings, all her pamphlets and stuff that was compiled into the ICE papers is a work of art. One thing that I was very disappointed is this conversation she had with the other psychiatrist that's in her field about this thing about black men, white women. In my opinion, the conversation would have been better in better faith, personally. But when the fingers point across about black women and white men, there's very little energy given to that. And it makes me question a lot of things with the good doctor that you might have swirled in your time Dr. Cress Welsing, because usually when women are talking about interracialism and racial aspects, usually when you're firm in blackness, you don't give no two shits and you stay the course, and you apply the same pressure on the man and also women. But I did not really get that throughout this whole interview, and I listened to the whole almost hour, part 1, part 2. But this is just me, guys. I could be wrong, but if anybody that knows a good doctor and stuff, please leave your comments below and try to answer this question. Do you think and believe that Dr. Cress Welsing had a white lover in the past that we don't know of? Leave your comments below. Thank you for watching. Until next time, until next time. Chaos reign.
Man, all you hoes. You and your mammy and your granny too. I'm sick of this shit. All you hoes. Don't give a damn what you wanna do.
They like the chaos.
They like the chaos. So when you're able to
Chaos.
let that chaos reign with,
Chaos.
let that chaos reign with,
Chaos.
let that chaos reign with,
Must reign.